founder and president of Follow a Dream and the only totally blind crew chief in the worldwide sport of auto racing. He has more than 15 years of experience as a professional auto mechanic and more than 25 years in drag racing. Jay is responsible for the organization's management, operations, and community outreach programs, as well as performing mechanical work on the race car. Jay leads his team of racing professionals in NHRA Top Alcohol Funny Car Competition, where they won the 2012 East Region Championship and finished the season ranked 11th in national points.
When you recovered from your accident, what was the hardest adjustment that you had to navigate when you became blind?
The hardest adjustment, I'd say, was being blind. But the hardest thing that sticks out in my mind from, all the rehab and everything I did was eating food, being able to manage a plate of food and cutting and that sort of thing. It was very, very frustrating for me. And to the point I became concerned about it and asked a lot. And the answer I got was, sometimes you focus your frustration on one particular thing. And I think that's what I was doing, because it was very frustrating to try and cut steak or do something like that. And I've gotten much, much, much better with it.
Right.
But eating is always, there's a lot going on without sight when you're eating.
Of course.
So,
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
No, that makes perfect sense. And do you use any assistive technology in terms of a service dog or a walking stick?
In mobility, I use a cane, what I call a stick.
Okay.
I had a guide dog,
Right.
great German Shepherd, for a short period of time,
Mm-hmm.
but I wasn't ready for the dog really, and the dog didn't work for me, and she had a stomach issue, so it didn't work out. But
Right.
I use a stick.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. No,
The
that's
stick's
great.
so easy.
Yeah. No, it definitely is, and
Meaning, when I say it's easy, if it's raining outside or snowing, you don't have to go outside. You throw it in the corner. A dog is an amazing way to travel, but it's also like caring for an infant all the time.
I have a dog who's 1.5 years, so yeah, she's amazing, but it's a huge responsibility, and I love it, so I wouldn't change it, but it's definitely something you have to take into consideration.
Yes, and with the dog, with the environment that I'm in, with the cars and the chemicals, I was always concerned with if something spilled and the dog would eat it.
Right, no, of course. Of course, no, you have to be careful. It's interesting, actually. So in addition to your eyesight, you also lost your sense of taste and smell. How do you rely on your other senses to compensate, for, giving your eyesight and your smell and your taste loss? And,
losing the three senses of sight, smell, and taste, I really do rely on my hearing and my touch. And I don't believe they've gotten better. I just believe I've got better at using them. And you have to adapt. And, it can make things more challenging at times, for sure. But you just try and find new ways around the challenges.
Right. No, of course. And, I think when you do have, losses, I mean, obviously, your senses in particular, I mean, you have to, compensate to obviously a certain extent. I mean, I even have to compensate in terms of my brain, when it comes to doing, certain things. And, the brain is a remarkable organ, the most important organ in our body that fortunately can compensate to nth degree when something's lost.
Right. Yeah, Dan Parker, the gentleman I was telling you about, I met through blindness, but he had a major traumatic brain injury as
Okay.
well.
Oh,
And
wow. It's
so
interesting.
I've
Go
learned
ahead.
a little bit about it through him.
Yeah.
Things do happen, and you have to adapt and
Hmm.
overcome them.
Hmm. No, of course.
Unfortunately, unfortunately today, it seems like using something as an excuse to give up is acceptable.
Right.
And it's, I don't understand why it's so easily accepted, but I don't agree with it.
Right. No, I understand. Uh, so in your interviews, you tend to tell jokes, and you like to make people laugh. Sometimes you make jokes in regards to your loss of eyesight. How does humor like help you on a daily basis? Uh,
I think humor makes people around you more comfortable. It's, I tend to have a pretty positive attitude and try and look on the positive side of things.
Mhm.
But I have found that humor gets people to relax if they're unsure or uptight around the blindness. They're not sure how to act or what to do.
Mhm.
Humor just makes everybody relax a little bit.
Yeah, I think so for sure. And how have you talk about a positive outlook, which is great. How have you managed to come to a place of, of having a positive outlook and quote unquote, perhaps accepting your deficits and your losses in your life?
When I was born as a young kid, my mother nicknamed me Happy Harry because my legal name's Harry. But
Okay.
so I believe I've always tended to have a positive attitude.
Okay.
After my accident, the first thing I remember is I woke up what I described as inside a cloud.
Mm-hmm.
It was extremely white, extremely bright, amazingly peaceful. I mean, so peaceful that you trip over words trying to describe the peacefulness, but it was incredibly amazing. It was just awesome. And I was there, and a voice said to me, "Do you want to stay or do you want to go?" And I said, "I have two kids and I'm married. I have to go." And the next thing I remember is I was awake and I said, whether I said it or wrote it, I don't really remember, but I said, "Am I alive?" And my older brother was there at the time and he said, "Yes." And I said, "Am I blind?" And he said, "We think so." At that point, they were trying to save one of my eyes, my right eye, actually. But, and at that point, it was like, okay, let's go. And I give a lot of credit to that near death experience
Mm-hmm.
as why I feel it has been easier to accept my situation than um, than it could have been.
Right. No,
You
of
know,
course.
and not every day is wonderful, and not
Not
every
every day is
moment has
wonderful for anyone, but no, it's true.
right.
Of course, you have your bad
Right.
days.
There, I call it the roller coaster ride of life, and it goes up and down and up and down. And, you know, that's just part of life, really.
Yeah, and you have to count your blessings also for what you do have. And
Oh, absolutely.
yeah,
You have to count your blessings for what you have.
absolutely, for sure. Uh, so, like we've spoken about, your sense of humor really comes out, and it's something that's important to you. You also are the owner and chief mechanic of a top alcohol funny car team. Can you tell us what a funny car is?
Sure. A funny car is a name of a car that they came up with in the 60s. It's a drag racing car. And what drag racing is it is a straight quarter mile, and you start at a starting line from a dead stop, and you accelerate down the quarter mile to the finish line.
Mhm.
And the first car to the finish line wins. So a funny car is today is a chromoly tube chassis frame with a carbon fiber replica body on it. And the body actually hinges in the back, so like the trunk area, and the body flips up in the air to allow access for the driver to get in and out of the car, and to put fuel in it, or we actually start it from outside the car. So the body goes up, and then when you race it, the body goes down. So the car that we have has an 8-cylinder engine, makes approximately 4,000 horsepower, and accelerates from a standing stop to over 270 miles an hour in 5.5 seconds.
That's amazing. I'd love to see this. That's quite impressive.
Yes.
Yeah.
I can send you some pictures, not today, but
I would love to see them. So, talking about the funny car, what strategy and your team, what strategies have helped you and your team to become one of the top, funny car teams?
really it's about teamwork and personalities and personnel. It's about having the right people together and all working together towards a common goal.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really where our success comes from, is all the wonderful people that work on the race car and on the race team.
Yeah. Yeah, having, people to help you and are crucial to these, to racing and, this team. It's always very important because without them, where would you be, quote unquote?
Correct. Well, really in life, it's about teamwork.
Of course.
Whether you're at work or at home, or it's all about teams and
Right.
people bringing their strengths together and working together towards that common goal.
Right. No, I agree. And so, how has your path been, and how have you learned to accommodate and, compensate for your blindness?
How have I learned to compensate for it?
Yeah. Or,
I think over time I over time you learn, but I was very fortunate. I went to the Carroll Center for the Blind in Newton, Massachusetts,
okay.
and I was there in a in on campus rehab program for about 6 months.
Oh, wow.
So I learned, how to read Braille, kind of. I can't really read Braille today, but the Carroll Center, they taught me how to do everything, how to mobility, how to walk, how to, manage eating food off a plate, how to cook, how to clean. They had a
Oh, wow.
wood shop there where I learned, you know, tricks on working with wood and measuring. And it was just, and besides that, it was a residential program. So I was around other blind people and we could talk and compare notes. And you realized that you weren't alone, you weren't the only one. And it was really a great experience.
Yeah, no, I think that sounds like a great experience. Uh, and so when it comes to being a crew chief, what do you think has been your most memorable moment to date?
My most memorable moment working on the race car. Oh, we had a win in Ohio. We had a win in California. I don't know if you can see the trophies behind me, but
I know I can see all the trophies, or
we,
most of
we,
them, I should say.
we've had a number of wins, and there are certain ones that definitely stick out. But really, the memories of, the people and the team and the whole idea of Follow a Dream was to try and educate people on the power of positive thinking, self determination, and teamwork, and really go into schools and motivate kids to appreciate the opportunity they had with their education and to believe in themselves despite the differences between us all, that you can work towards your goals and your dreams and you can reach them. So
Yeah,
that's really the most memorable piece, is making a positive difference in people's lives.
yeah. No, I agree, and I think, reaching for your dreams and aspirations and, making that possible when other people, may have underestimated you is just one of the greatest things, for sure. And you're doing that every day, which is
Yeah,
amazing.
yes, and it shows people that it can be done.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Are there any tools, or I guess adaptive equipment in motorsports, that help you or that can help those that are blind?
There are adaptive tools for the blind that I use in racing,
Hmm.
but there's nothing specifically built for racing. Um, there's blind measuring tools and talking tools and things that I use. Um, the phone. I have an iPhone and it talks. My computer
Hmm.
talks.
Hmm.
As I say, most things in my life talk.
That's great.
But there's a lot of just regular equipment that we use to work on the cars and the trucks and trailers and things that are just everyday standard equipment.
Right. No, of course. And I guess talking on like a broader scale, what, and I mean, you'd mentioned, I think, that you have kids. I'm not sure, I mean, married and so forth, but how much, I guess, dependency do you have like on other people to also help you? So for instance, you're blind. So for you to get to the computer and navigate going to Zoom and opening up and, you know, so like, how does
Um,
that work? Or can you've learned how to do it on your own?
yes, I try to be pretty independent.
Mhm.
Um, I have an older daughter. She's 30 or 29.
I'm
Um,
31. She's younger than me. So
right. And, she's married. She lives a couple miles from me.
mm,
Um, I am divorced. I live alone.
okay. Oh wow.
And today I'm in my office
Okay.
at my shop and I'm here alone.
Okay.
I do a lot of things alone, but you can't beat a good set of eyes. I mean, It's just the facts.
Right, of course.
You know, eyes work really, really great for a lot of things.
Of course.
So,
And when you've lost it, it's difficult.
but
But you learn to compensate, and you do have a support team, it seems like. So, and
oh
that's
yeah,
important too.
yes, I have a great support team, and the true reality is, if you put your mind to it, it's amazing what you can accomplish without sight. I mean, it's truly amazing.
Right. No, I would agree. So you've earned many accolades in your career, including the Boston Celtics Heroes Among Us Award. How have these awards confirmed your childhood dream of working in the motorsport field and starting a race team?
You know, when I read the question,
Mm-hmm.
I'd never seen that question or been asked that question before. And it made me realize kind of wow. Um, because it's pretty awesome, the races we've won, the awards that we've won, and the honor that I've been represented with. It's pretty awesome. You know, when I came up with the idea to start Follow a Dream and build a race team, people thought I was crazy and nuts, and it's pretty amazing today to be a top 10 player in the country, and
Mm-hmm.
it's pretty awesome.
I think it's awesome. Way to go. And I look forward to seeing your continued accomplishments.
Yes, we're
I mean,
currently
post-COVID, I mean, I know it's difficult with COVID. Where are you based again? You're based in Massachusetts, correct?
right. I'm actually based on Cape Cod in
Oh, okay.
Massachusetts. And
Okay,
we're
but you're in
currently
Massachusetts, you're on the East Coast. You get it.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah, we're currently looking for corporate partners to help fund the Follow a Dream program to
Right.
get the race car back out on the racetrack. And you know it's a great opportunity for a company to grow their marketing and show appreciation in their employees and things. And we're just searching right now for the right company who wants to partner with us and
Right.
go to the finish line.
Yeah. So you talking about Follow a Dream, you started a nonprofit, which is Follow a Dream. Can you tell us about Follow a Dream and the different programs you offer?
Follow a Dream is a nonprofit designed to educate children and adults on the power of positive thinking, self determination, and teamwork through motorsports. So, the way it was designed was to take the race car and the speaking program into schools and encourage kids to believe in themselves and work towards their goals and their dreams. And the race car is the tool that I use to prove that what I am talking about is real and can really happen. There are
Of course.
there is a um, actually the presentation is called Five Tools for Your Life's Toolbox.
Yes. So I was going to ask you
Okay.
what are these tools? Tell us about them.
The five tools for your life's toolbox: a positive attitude,
Mhm.
education, passion, determination, and teamwork. And with those five tools, you can accomplish your goals and your dreams.
Yeah, I think so. I think those are great piece of advice, and I hope our audience will take that into consideration, regardless of what type of difference or disability that they have. 'Cause I
Oh,
think
absolutely.
they're great.
These five tools, they're the tools that took me from a hospital bed to being here with you today.
Yeah,
And
and
whether
still
no
racing and doing,
right, no matter
all of that.
no matter what you're faced with in life,
Hmm.
the 5 tools can help move you forward.
Of course, absolutely. So what is your dream car?
My dream car. I'd have to say one of my dream cars is a 3-window 34 Ford Coupe.
Okay.
Most people may remember it or have seen one on the cover of ZZ Top Eliminator's album.
Okay. I've got to get more knowledge on race car driving. I see it and so forth. But I got to follow up after this interview.
It's a 34 3-window coupe is an old Ford street rod. It's a hot rod. And if you look up ZZ Top Eliminator,
Okay, I
there'll
will.
be a big picture of one.
Sounds good. I'm going to do that.
Yeah.
So as a child, who, if any, was your favorite race car driver?
I don't know if I had a particular favorite as a young kid.
Okay.
There's some drag racers I look up to. Joe Amata was one, and John Force, the gentleman, Big Daddy Don Garlitz. And these are people that have done great things in drag racing and been good leaders, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
But, I've met different ones as I've grown, and there's just so many people out there that you can use as inspiration and mentors and learn from.
No, for sure. I would totally agree. And I guess lastly, what advice would you give to others who are interested in race car driving, who have a difference, or becoming a crew member?
Just to clarify with everybody, I do not drive the car.
Okay.
Some people think that's I do, but I don't.
Okay.
If you want to be involved in racing, my suggestion is you find somebody in your local area that races and offer to go volunteer and help them. And really, it's very, very important to be willing to volunteer and ask questions about learning. Do not try and impress them with what you can do.
Mm-hmm.
It's much better to ask questions and show somebody that you're willing to learn and want to learn.
Right. I think that's great advice.
Yes.
Really, really good. Well, this has been so fun, Jay.